Catherine. Well, don't worry. All right.
Could I get you two gentlemen that just came in to sign so we have your name for the records?
Let's keep it interesting. After the public comment session, we'll be going through some of these applications. And if anybody has the same concerns or the same point that they, if one person speak, you can all speak. I'll let you speak once you recognize, but I need, if it's redundancy, we try to keep it to, you know, because we got quite a bit to go through tonight. I'm the chairman. My name is Irvin Curtis. I live over here in Homeport Avenue. If you don't know me.
I'm Catherine Bentheim. I live on Dublin Road. Cindy Inn. I live on Waterman Beach Road.
There's one more board member that hasn't arrived, but we will stop promptly at 6. We have a quorum. So.
Or he sent an email saying he was going to join through Zoom.
Oh, that's fine. Good. Pretty much the same. I just added on the a little bit different, a couple of spots. This was one of the board members asked me to have that.
Okay.
So we can discuss all that. You can look at that. Two minutes. If anybody comes in, the legal. Just to change the jacket. So it's the final.
Yep.
It's supposed to be. I think that's much of a grass. It's not really down there. The address and stuff. Okay. Okay. But I'd like to do that, we can approve it for the addition of adding the name. Location. I'll get this next time. Okay, 6 o'clock. I'll start the meeting. Having a quorum present, we can go ahead. I'll call the meeting to order. First, I'll start off with any public comment. Any public comment? No public comment. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's now's the time
You can say what you sure you can.
related to an application or
Yeah, that's
comments
fine.
in general.
That'd
If you
be-
have something to read from Jane Carper, who lives on the St. George Road,
Okay,
and she doesn't believe that she can join, and she's trying to now. But where she is, isn't. That's what it's there. Dear planning board, thank you for your dedication.
I'm trying to get there. I think I'm on.
Myself and my family, I would like to express my concerns if commercial is granted to saltwater fields. The venue thus far has been very loyal to the town sound ordinance, as well as the 10 p.m. closing and quiet time they pledged to keep. However, once public commercial camping is allowed, it will be impossible to honor the 10 p.m. closing time and virtually impossible to control the sound ordinance and the 10 p.m. quiet time. I cannot picture a bunch of young groomsmen promptly going to bed or quieting down at 10 p.m. I certainly would not have done so at that age. There is no legal definition of glamping which can be defined in any way. The owner of public commercial campground wishes. Once public camping is part of the saltwater field, it will likely be legally impossible to stop the onset of multiple public campgrounds all along the Hayfield region, one of South Thomaston's beautiful gateways and a quiet place to live. In fact, I've already heard from one landowner who also owns saltwater Hayfield land, who has told me he is thinking of turning one or more of his fields into a public RV commercial campground if this is approved.
thank you. We'll keep the record.
I mean, with the saltwater field campground and the noise ordinance, 131 is from the, coming up that road, you get more noise from the road ordinance.
Can't hear.
Which is down the
I'm on here.
there's, if you take a meter and check that, the road noise, you'll see that overwhelmed truck driving, well after 10 o'clock and the loud trucks going through there. I live right up there on that road, and it is the road, I get more road noise than anything I do on the water side.
Okay,
May you speak your name?
Ron Russell, I live right there on the saltwater field area.
So I have additional, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm Elizabeth Filchi, and I live at 297 St. George Road. In addition, the definition of glamping, there is no, and does it include RVs, buses, other tents? And is this a precursor to a full-blown campground? Another question I had was regarding the application. It doesn't appear to show where these tents would be if they are approved. So it looks like an incomplete application because there is no paperwork that I saw with it relates to things that are already in place.
and that one is,
There's a map that I sent my application with that drawn on there
Oh.
for you.
Okay, I think we should talk about this when we come.
we'll bring that up during the discussion.
Okay.
That's fine.
Will there be
I
an
was just-
owner on the premises at all times if this is approved? Will there be outhouses? Does this mean that there'll be up to 40 people camping or in the upstairs apartments or suites at one time on a regular basis? I'm concerned about devaluation of our property, we live exact next door. We feel like we're being forced out of our own home. We've lived there for 27 years. We've never had to close our windows in the summer or in the winters. Every time there is an event, a larger event, we've had to shut our windows because of the dust coming in. We've never had to do that before. Our quality of life has changed. We don't even use our deck when there's events anymore because there's so much dust coming. Now granted, it's when people are driving fast. Many of the people drive slow, and there isn't, but it's hard to know how fast somebody is driving. Will there be additional runoff with additional people there? And if this is open for consideration, is it considered a campground? And will there be a hearing related to that? I think that was one of the items listed in the amended bylaws. If there is a campground, that would trigger a hearing. Also, additional parking. From my view, there is very limited parking, maybe like 40 cars. And granted, the 4th of July was an exception, but it was an absolute disaster. We couldn't get out of our driveway. I didn't want to call the police. I didn't want to call the fire marshal and disrupt everything, but we could not get out of our driveway had there been an emergency. And I doubt a vehicle, fire truck could have gotten down in it if there had. It was disastrous. It was treacherous. And we do believe that there is another application either coming or already submitted for another campground. I'm concerned that this would be just an additional outdoor party potentially every night, if there are people there. And how do you control the visitors to people staying there? I think that's my comments.
Okay, thank you.
I noticed the January minutes aren't posted, planning board minutes aren't posted on the website.
We may have not had a meeting in January. Yeah. We only meet when we have applications. Okay, thank you. Any more public comments? Sorry about my daughter.
Jane on Zoom has a public comment.
Oh, go ahead.
There, now you can hear me. Thank you, Liz. I wasn't sure I was I've talked my family into not going to the Northwoods where we don't have reception so that I could be at this meeting. Liz did read my letter. I've got, I mean, obviously as you all know, I hate to see the hayfields turned into a series of RV camps and campgrounds, which if we allow that at this meeting, we really don't have any legal grounds to stop that. And I don't know if that's part of the planning board's power or to not have RV and tent camping along our hayfields. I don't know if that's part of your job or not. I mean, I'm just part of your job, but if you have the power to do that. My question is, and by the way, the saltwater farms have been really good about keeping the sound down after 10, ending things at 10. It's been wonderful. They've really abided by that. And that means everything to those of us who live there. And it's also a safety issue. If people are there till 11 or 12 or 1 o'clock drinking at weddings, which most of us do, and then head out on that street, it's a real danger. So they kept their promise to end things at 10, and, except for the 4th of July, of course. It's been wonderful. My question, well, actually on the 4th of July, I think they did that too. My question is, how is this going to be enforced for noise after 10 if RV camping is allowed? That's my first question.
Okay, thank you. We'll be addressing these during the application process. So is there any other public comment? Hearing none, I'd like to.
Jane did have another question in the chat, which was about the dust-free turf on the parking lot, which has not been installed and was actually a condition of the approval of the facility at first. So I think it's valid to request some update on that from the project owner. But we can also do that during the agenda item that is dedicated to this project.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll close the public comment. I'd like to just add an item in between the old business. I'd like to make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from last meeting, March 17th. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. Kathleen? Aye. Gabe?
It's all right with me, yes.
Yes. Cindy? All in favor? I accept the minutes too. So it's 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you. Okay, now I'd like to move, we have several applications from Wilson Construction. Need to look through. And if Travis would kind of give us a quick rundown of them all, can you do that for us?
Yeah, so basically we're redoing our original permit for 110 Elm Street. We've hired some more employees and bought more equipment and more trucks and stuff like that, so we've grown a little bit there. And then we're applying for a permit for a lot across the road, which is map 18, lot 2-3-1, which gives us a maximum area of 100 or 10,000 square feet that we're looking just to use to potentially park trucks or trailers or whatever. But we've also just purchased a large piece of land up the road that we're going to be moving all business operations down to in the near future within the next. But we have 3 permits for applications for permits in for that.
Okay.
One for an office building, one for a storage facility, one for a construction.
Okay.
So are you saying that everything that's, you know, that you intend to move to the new park?
Just bought a piece of land.
Going to be repeated.
I've been moving everything down there within the next, as, you know, we can get it done.
Okay, let's start with number 1, the shop and the parking down at
110 Elm.
110 Elm, yeah. So this is this lot here. This the one.
Oh, that's down there.
Okay, that's one we'll do first. They got them 1, 2, 3. Right, so I'm looking at 4. We'll just take them in that order for simplicity for us. So that for discussion, this lot of land is how big?
It's roughly around 70 acres total.
And it's in what district? It's the R.
It is R1.
R1 or R2?
R1.
R1, okay. So that's be a lot of use for that. And this would be a commercial operation?
Yeah, which one?
It's map 18, but, you know, map 18, everything that's on map 18, that's the new location.
That's,
There's everything labeled or numbered there. They're on number 1 right now.
Okay. All right, yours aren't numbered, so you said. We have another packet yet? Right. Sorry.
I apologize. My copies of this are not numbered either. What are we looking at here?
Shop parking, which is map 9, lot 11,
Map 9, lot 11.
and.
Got it.
yeah, so on this is, we're looking to, once again, it'll be a year or so down the road, but, this is where we like to put an office building and some parking, for the septic system, and we can go that.
Okay. Is there, yes,
Do you own the property at 11-1?
No,
No.
that's the church down here.
Okay, and
Yeah, we own all the property around it.
and 11-2 is also a separate property?
11-2 is the cell tower.
Okay. All right, so yeah, there is a big
Yeah,
piece there. And it's essentially woods going there.
yeah, it's all woods.
Yeah.
It's all little woods.
is there wetlands in there?
Off on the side that we're not doing anything. Yeah,
Okay,
What church is that?
How
yeah, the
many?
Harmony Church.
How many?
okay. So the lot complies with the size limits, of more than 1 acre.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to build a 3,600 square foot office building, day-to-day operations, landscape expansion for future endeavors, up to 7,500 square feet parking for employees and customers. And lighting, down face lighting. You want to have 10 employees there. And hours of operation Monday through Sunday, 5 AM to 9 PM. You'd like to have,
Yeah, that's just an office there.
that's just an office. And construction business sign, 4x5. I'd have to look and see the sign ordinance. I believe that out here, is the standard for the lodge, the town sign book. Check that.
Sure.
out.
Yeah, my last for the other property was 4
Go ahead,
by 5.
Gabe.
I think just looking, because I think you've got, Travis, you have 3 applications for the same lot or one that's proposing to subdivide the lot.
Oh, we're keeping it all the same. We're just.
Keeping it all the same, great. So I think, Irv, that's just, it results in a commercial operation of significantly greater than 10,000 square feet, so we will need a public hearing.
Okay, yeah, we'll get all that. That's in the bylaws here. So that's, you're saying for the lot in the R1.
It's, I think we wrote in our bylaws that any commercial operation anywhere above 10,000 square feet requires a public,
Okay,
not at all. I'm not commenting on that, but I think that just the sheer size of it will require us to go through that process and just collect feedback and notify the abutters.
okay, we'll take care of all that.
It's gonna be standard. Yeah.
It'll be standard. So it is an allowed use in the district. We have a plan here. And I think we'll have to write some letters to the abutters to let them know that we're doing this. They can come in and comment. And I don't see really any issues with it. It's a allowed use, and then here we have from many abutters, any conditions that they like to apply. The only thing that I would say on the hours of operation, that is a church, so they have Sunday services there. or-
Yeah,
So we wouldn't want to disturb that.
yeah, I mean, we generally, it's, like I said, that what's going there is just an office building.
But eventually you'd be having materials there and trucks in and out.
No, there, it'll be, well, in beyond, yes.
Do you usually operate on Sundays?
No, we
Yeah.
don't. It's Sundays if it's in the winter and it's in the middle of a snowstorm.
We need to get in there and stand that.
Yeah, we don't work on Sundays. We don't work, our guys generally don't work any weekends.
Okay. So
Where's the lot that you're looking, your operations now to? Where's that lot? Is that the one by the church?
It's like on 73 down this way.
Like Catherine asked, everything at that lot will move down to that operation line.
Yes.
Yes.
that's his intent. Okay. Does the board have any comments on any of this stuff?
No, I looked at it on the map and it looks like there is plenty of space, no neighbors, that would be ideal location.
Okay. What we'll have to do, Travis, on this one is we'll have to notify the butters and then have a public hearing on this. And then, I don't know if we can get it done before the next meeting, but
We need to schedule.
Schedule.
Yeah, that's fine. There's not, I mean, like I said, we're not gonna.
Would we like to do it before our next meeting? Like half hour before,
What you mean?
On the
public
18th.
hearing?
on the 18th of August, or-
I'm going to be away, so you have to count me out for that. meeting.
okay, you'll be here. Gabe, can you make the 18th next month?
I think so, yeah.
Why
And I
don't
think we could just
schedule-
talk about, all of Travis's plans for that one lot at that hearing. So that's three of those five applications.
Okay, so you want to do, well, this one here is, oh, I see.
Four
Oh, I see.
applications.
Let's just review the other ones real quick while we have them here. Okay, so we're gonna go to number 3 and 4.
Yep.
We'll look at those real quick. All right, so this is for the okay. Okay, this can be done. I guess in our letters to the abutters, we'll have to list all 3 of these operations going on there.
Yep.
There'll all be notifications that we can do. Okay, so this is an 80-acre lot, you said?
70.
70, so you basically want to use 20. And then all your store materials, equipment, vehicle storage, lighted down facing, 20 employees, 7 days a week. Currently 13 employees, 10 trucks, 20 trucks, 15 pieces of heavy equipment, 10 pieces of landscape equipment, and currently 10 trailers. Okay,
Just a question. Are you aware of any wetland located in the section that you're not occupying?
Yeah, there's,
same here in the wetland.
over here, there's.
Yes, I
a little bit of
noticed you,
wetland.
yeah, you kept
Yes.
here, so, yeah, that's where you have to do this.
Okay.
Excuse me, is anyone here on the fire department?
No, sir. Doing fine. Okay, why don't we have a public hearing on all 3 of these permits on August 18th at 5:30. Then we'll have our meeting at 6. Unless we need to move to another night.
Yeah, if you have quorum, I'm fine running it without me.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll go through the hearing on everything. We get the letters written to the abutters, and notifications made to them, and notifications made on the town website. We'll go through, start the performance standards. And anything that comes up in that will be either, if you agree to everything, then we have a public hearing. I think we can move forward on this applications. I think it's a good area for it. Like Kathleen says, by the way over there,
Well, it's in the middle of the woods.
it's in the middle of the woods. All right, so I'll just put that in August.
I'm expecting that in about a year, you said.
No, we're even working on it. I expect to fully be out of there in less than 2 years, but we're not gonna be storing any materials. We'll be parking trucks and trailers, so we have a space down there. And really, until I get some security and cameras and stuff installed, I'm not gonna park any trucks or equipment, but so that's all set up, everything's gonna be moving that way. So in 2 years.
Pepper Hill?
Pepper Hill?
Yeah.
I don't know. Got options, but we're not, it won't be, we'll still be using the office building for a while, but we don't know if we're gonna do some rental places or what, but it'll be residential. buildings, so.
This looks pretty straightforward to me. I don't see, it's in the correct district. We just check anything else over there. What do you intend to do for just your site work for your building mainly and leveling up the lot so you can drive trucks around out there?
Yeah, there's actually currently a big flat area that's pretty much just granite that has, because that lot was cut not too long ago for
Okay.
harvested. So there's saplings that we're gonna clear, kind of just level off an area to store material, park trucks and local work.
All right. If we have any further questions, we'll bring them up on the 18th. You know, we do the performance standards for this. I'll probably have 3 of them at the same time, pencil them as I go. So it'll be the easiest. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Pro or con? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next, Elm Street. Number 5. Okay. This is your current business where you're at right now?
Correct.
This. Existing, the ordinance allows for commercial business here. It also allows for any type of hardship, you know, to move your current business, you know what I mean? So that is in the town ordinances. There's a clause for that type of thing. I know, Ted, do you have anything, questions about this, him keeping his business basically the way it is?
Well, like if I'm looking at the map correctly and at your proposal, it looks like everything you're proposing right now will be, you know, when you are on 73 looking at your lot, will be on the right of Bartlett.
Yeah,
This is it.
that's
yeah.
where it currently is right now. We have an existing permit for that lot, just not with the amount of trucks and employees that we currently have.
I mean, like looking at this map, there are 2 other lots that you own that are on the left of Bartlett.
We own one on the left of our lot.
That's not considered in this.
I know, so that's why I want to make sure I understand where this proposal applies. It's like lot 2, and you see, so it's just this one.
Yeah, it's right on the corner of Bartlett and
Yes,
73.
and not 231 or 23.
Okay. It isn't allowed use there. What you have and what you want to change it to, still allowed use. It's commercial use. And you just ask the employees. I will require that we write a letter, but I don't think we need public hearing for that. It's existing.
I guess,
Go ahead.
is there anything, what I wasn't clear about is what's being changed in this application from what's currently happening?
Pertinent things is the number of employees. I think it was 8 before, it's being moved to 20 plus 3 office, be 23.
Okay.
We currently actually have 11 right now.
Okay. And he wants to put a sign that isn't there now.
Yeah, and we're probably not even gonna do it, we're moving.
Okay.
We're not gonna be doing lighting because we're moving, we're not looking to hire more people than what we have now.
Okay. You have, and the trucks should be about the same. I know they come and go sometimes. You're still gonna use it just for parking, for equipment, and keep some of your stored material there, what you've been doing now. And over the 1 acre. How many acres are you actually using there now?
Right around 1 acre.
1 acre, but the whole size of the lot is,
The whole size of the lot, I think, is just shy of 3 or right on 3. something.
okay. So you have enough of that. Okay. We'll get some letters to the abutters along with, probably included in the letters from, probably do a separate one, but still the same envelope, I guess.
I'm
Different
still
location.
confused on what this is.
What he is, he has a
What's
business.
changing?
He's not changing to anything, sir. He just,
So,
I just,
he needs to update
our
his
old
permit from
permit
the old
doesn't
permit.
cover the amount of employees we have right now, so I need
That-
to re-update that permit for our increased number of employees.
It seems last time the contention was about storing material on 231, so that's not gonna happen.
That's moved over.
There's also a permit for that, but that's an application for that.
Okay.
I have that here. You want to read that? Old one? The first one?
No, she's talking about the one on the other side.
We haven't got to that one. We'll come to that one.
That's three?
Two.
Two. Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
Okay. So we'll do a performance standard on this one as far as your employees and update that for you. So we will, okay, are you the only neighbor? I think there's one on the other side.
He's not a neighbor of that property.
Yeah, but he's within the, we have,
That's where our existing business is right here.
what we're doing now is, I think we have I think we're gonna have, within a 500 foot radius. I think that's what we went with. It came up in the bylaws. There. Our notifications.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 500 feet, I believe.
500 feet. So we had notified everybody within 500 feet of that lot. Maybe cross the street, things like that. So there'll be a few, we have to determine that. If you can, could do that for us. With properties, and let those owners know. It's kind of new stuff. The town never had any notifications before these bylaws were written by this board. So it's an improvement for the neighbors. Okay. Any other questions about this application?
For this application, yes, okay, still to me, since it's in a residential area, the hours of operation from 6 AM to 6 PM Monday through Sunday are a lot.
That's what my original permit was for, and it was stated then that we don't work weekends. We generally don't work early, generally don't work late, but it's one of those in the middle of the winter, if I need to load sand or what we're doing, out plowing and stuff, we're
They gotta be time. It's not, yeah, that was, let me just see.
the time never changed on any of that. It was basically just the number of employees, the amount of what we have for equipment.
Do we have anything about hours of operations in the revised ordinances in the R1 or whichever district it's in?
I think this stuff on plan.
The I believe that lot has been rezoned, but I don't think we can revisit the original permit in this
I was just trying to. see
with that
if I
in
can find-
mind. I think he's grandfathered in other words.
That's what we need to hear.
Okay. Okay, this line. Here was the original, this is changed, this is the special exemption form that we used to have. So this came, I wasn't the chairman when this was
Yeah.
done.
Mm.
This is-
Yeah, but this is just to the side of Bartlett.
That's what we're still working on that. That's all it was.
That's also, it didn't state hours of operation.
I think it does somewhere there.
See attached, and here's the attached.
Yeah, there's an extra sheet that somebody typed up.
Okay, this is. Yeah. That was 6 PM to 6 AM to 6 PM, Monday through Friday, with all hours of pickup, sand, salt, within salt was it, incidental material, I guess.
Yeah, so I think it should be stated in the same fashion.
Okay. I have it here. So. Did you, Travis, a copy of
Did
that?
you get that, Dave?
I have a copy of that.
Do you have a copy of that one? Okay.
To be honest, Catherine, I'm struggling to follow the conversation a little bit.
Okay, so let me recap. So we are talking about the lot to the left of Bartlett, which was in contention last time, and the hours of
Yeah, so
operation in the original permit were Mondays through Friday. What did
Talking
we
about
read?
we're talking about the right of our, I think.
Yeah, this is the right about it, and then we're
Oh,
discussing.
yeah, the right of Bartlett.
Yeah,
So so if it was granted then, you know, so now you're asking for extended hours?
So asking for the same hours.
well, this is,
Well, that's what I'm saying. The stated hours on the original permit were 6 AM to 6 PM Mondays through Friday, with all hours for incidental material pickups such as sand and salt for plowing.
so that can be Saturday, Sunday, and nighttime.
Yes, but just for those purposes.
Oh, yeah, I thought we had in there. so-
Yeah, so 6 AM Mondays through Friday, but not, you know, moving trucks and so forth.
Okay, we can, take that up also again at the, when we do performance standards. You know, but right now, that's the hours of operation. Okay. Any other questions about the right side of Bartlett Lane?
Still have to move trucks and load them, to move sand. To move raw materials, right?
Right, that's on the right side, sir, on the right side of the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah, where is that?
Okay, he has a,
Is that behind the insurance place? Is that?
no, that's on the, that's what Kathleen was saying. We're gonna bring that one up next. It's good. Okay, that's not included in what that packet. Okay? Is there any questions on the right side of Bartlett Lane?
No.
No more, okay. So what we'll propose there is we'll do letters to abutters, and that they can attend the public hearing, the planning board meeting, and if they have any concerns, they can bring them up to us before we go through your performance standards for the right side of the line. Okay? Like hours of operation, or number of employees, or anything that's different from the original one. Okay? All right, now the next one I'd like to take up is the left side of Bartlett Lane. We're all finished with the right side. This is number 5, right? 2. Three, 4. Okay, this is a new application for use of 10,000 square feet on the left side of Bartlett Lane. And we'd like to use the parking trucks, equipment, and trailers. They'll be used for storing materials. Okay, operation Sunday, 6 AM, 6 PM on this one. Monday to Sunday. So those will have to be addressed. If you'd like to say anything, Ted, about anything, just raise your hand and you can comment.
It seems later than 6 that I'm hearing things from over there. Now.
Some of our guys work past 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Here, like that coming from over there.
All right, this is for the left side.
Yes.
Now, to me, the ordinance reads, you can have, there's been some discussion, I'll let you guys all know, that I've got feedback from the town attorney that this could be considered the same business, which would mean that you've already made your 10,000 square feet and you can't expand. But the ordinance doesn't distinguish. This is a separate lot. It's not, it wasn't purchased with that property. It's something bought afterwards. And they do allow, every person in town can do in that village area, they can have a business up to 10,000 square feet. So we'll have to notify the butters on this. I probably will have to, I thought the town attorney may be here tonight, but I'll just run that by them. That did come up in a conversation with me and the town attorney. She called me. But I don't see it in the ordinance. It's not there. So we follow the ordinances in town of South Thomaston. So hearing any,
Well, let's review the hours of operation. If the other lot has a set of hours, I mean, it's, let's be consistent and apply the same set.
of hours. Okay. So you have 5 AM to 6, what is it?
It's 6 AM to
6 PM.
6 PM,
What was the hours? What?
Monday through Friday with occasional use for salt
Okay,
and sand on the weekend.
okay, but there's not gonna be, well, you're gonna store, I guess, what's the lot mainly gonna be for park, right?
Parking trucks and trailers,
And
and
you might put some dirt over it.
as soon as we get some land cleared over there, we're gonna,
Yeah, move it.
everything's going over there. The biggest thing is space for parking trailers and stuff.
Okay,
So does that mean you're gonna hear beep, 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 beep every time you're backing out and?
well, it'll probably be when they go to work and when they come home.
Yeah, 6 AM.
The guys start at 7 and everybody's back by 5.
Okay, well, all this stuff can be looked at when we do performance standards, as far as hours of operation. If it's 7 to 6 or 7 to 5, or all that can be, that's what we'll have a public comment, that's why we notify the butters. Okay, And-
I just don't want that to increase if you're gonna move that.
he's got the same hours, well, he does have Monday through Sunday.
Yeah, I didn't, I thought
Weekend.
the original one was
Yes.
7 days a week.
Okay. But you do work Saturdays?
Yeah, we do work Saturdays. We don't
Yeah,
generally work on the property. We're off on site, but,
right. Okay,
I work on my personal property, which is, that's what we're turning that lot into.
okay,
And I've been improving that on the weekends. That's my weekend project.
okay. Okay, I may have the town attorney at the next meeting for this one, only because the selectman asked me to speak to her. And I think that she needs to be here, or a representative or a selectman needs to be here. But as far as the ordinance go, you're good to go for your 10,000 square feet. As long as you meet the rest of the performance standards that we, require to do.
Yep.
Hours of operation, noise, all that kind of stuff. All right, so for this one, letters to the butters for this one, 2. And we'll bring it up. I don't think it requires a public hearing because it's not, doesn't meet the, it's under the 10,000 square feet. Greater than 10,000, this would require, which you can't have there anyway. So no public hearing for this one, public hearing for down the road. Okay, any other comments on the expansion or whatever to the side of the road? Okay, like I said, let me get with that Kristen Collins and she can sway me otherwise, but I think,
Oh, and that's honestly that one is my words. For
okay,
moving operations, it's more of trying
Moving away from
to
it,
compliance and we spend a lot of time and money moving business material off that site and turning it into my personal property, and I've been working to improve that and
Right.
build it up so I can make lawn there. I have zero intention of really doing any business stuff over there. This is merely to kind of cover my butt
There's
in
no-
case I need to park a truck or a trailer or whatever.
there's really no ordinance about, in South Thompson about where you park vehicles on your own land.
Yeah.
And there's no ordinance in South Thompson about storing materials, storing gravel, storing loam, but everybody has a loam dirt pile in the yard somewhere, a lot of people do. So yours may be a little bigger than other folks, but there's no ordinance about, but there's no, that's up to they've taken that ordinance away from the planning board, and the town the selectmen decided to have a ordinance review committee, do the ordinance now. Jeff Northgrave, I think, is the chairman there. So he's, unless they want to turn the ordinances back to the planning board, then it's up to them to make the changes at one of their meetings. That's where that stuff will get changed now. Okay. So I think, is there any other things that you'd like to add, Travis? Okay, we'll get the notifications done and we'll do I was wondering if I could do, I think the law, which one with the same thing,
That 9/11.
that 9/11. Can we do those under the same performance standard? So we just do one of those?
Number 2 and 5. they work
2
together.
and 5. One was for enlarging the business, for employees, and for,
That's the other one.
Yeah, 1, 3, and 4 for that.
See, it's like 9/11,
yeah.
9/11,
and then
and
one.
9/11. So it's
Okay.
together.
Okay. I think we can do one performance standard for the 9/11 property. Since it's all one piece, it'll be one operation. And then we'll have to do a separate performance standard for the law you currently have running. And then another one for the 100 by 100.
They can be done on the same day.
They can all be done the same day. Okay. So I think what I'd like to determine now, because I'd like to kind of prep this stuff. Has anybody got any comments about hours of operation that I could in days of the week?
I mean, for the village stuff, I'm fine with, nixing the weekend stuff. I mean, if we do go to work, we start our trucks and leave.
Okay, so the villages, you want to be Monday through Friday?
Yep. Yeah, I didn't realize, I must have read over that, I thought.
I'm just doing this because I know I'm gonna have to get this a little bit pre-ready. Okay. Okay, and that will be hours of operation. Do,
6 a.m. to 6 p.m., like what it is, just Monday through Friday.
okay. Now, the plowing, wintertime, getting trucks in and out
Yeah, I mean,
as needed.
we load sand and salt there, so
Okay,
that was pretty much the
or
reference.
I'll use the same wording as in the one
It
we
could
did
be
before.
that this winter you're already at the other place, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
No, we won't be down there.
we probably won't, because we still have sand stock.
That's a
out
big
there,
site
so
to get
I'm
ready.
gonna move it just to load it again.
Okay, let me just get some of that determined, through your agreement with that, if I put that in get that started. All right, any other questions on these 5 applications?
No, that's it.
Okay, so I'll get working on some letters, you have any? Okay, good. All right, thank you, Travis. Good. If I have any questions, I'll get Dan call here, or I can check with you if I come across anything.
Perfect.
Like I say, they're all, commercial uses are allowed in the village district. The only thing now is since the last town meeting, the previous town meeting, these ordinances were changed and agreed to. That's why there was no reduction in the size of the lot, and also where your area was a R2 district, R2 district, that was also changed. The maps were changed. So Travis, just let everybody know, when he first started his business, he was in the R2 area. When Ted first bought his house, he was in the R2 area. So the business was allowed previously in an R2 area, which was allowed. So that's how that place, was able to establish it. There's several others in this village area now that was R2, but since since come under the new restrictions.
Just the R stand for.
Rural. Rural 1, rural 2. They're all rural 2. The most lenient is R1. Okay, areas. So these maps were all changed, like I say, the plan at the town meeting 2 years ago. Okay. So next one on the agenda is the saltwater field, White Event Center. And they want to have some tents there. First of all, let's see what it is. This is Tina and James Hedrick.
Yes, yes.
Would you like to tell us about what you'd like to do? Sure.
Thank you. First of all, Saltwater Fields has turned into an amazing place. I think it's blown away our dreams. It's definitely a dream coming true for my husband.
You know what?
and
I'm
I.
sorry. I should have done the bylaws first. It's on the agenda. Oh, well, I need to follow the agenda.
Okay,
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
this won't take too long. Everybody's had a chance to read the bylaws,
Yes.
the updates, and the only thing I need to add.
I made a comment, we needed to add that the notification method should include adding the address and purpose of the permit application into the agenda that is emailed on the listserv. You
I've
agree
written
with
it,
that?
yeah.
Dave? That's what we had agreed on? Can you hear me? I don't think so.
Yeah, I can hear you. I agree.
Okay, so we're gonna add on the notification, on the address, and the type of
Purpose of the.
Purpose.
Yeah, of the permit application.
the
Yeah, I think it should include more specifically like address, map, lot, and
Okay.
proposed use.
When you say notification, are you meaning the agenda?
yes, the actual event is like this. When we put this out, it'll be on that. Okay. All right, hearing that, I'd like someone to make a motion to accept the bylaws and the addendum to the bylaws as of July 28, 2022.
With the modification.
With the modifications, yes.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion, I'll make that motion to accept the bylaws and the addendum as amended on today, July 28th, 2022.
Second that.
Second made. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. Gabe,
Aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
I'll say aye. And
Aye.
Cindy's aye. Okay, so that's 4-0. We set the new bylaws and the amendments to the bylaws, or the rewrites. Okay. Sorry, now you can continue.
Sorry.
okay. So our goal with Saltwater Fields was not only to embrace the beauty of the ocean in that area and the fields, but also the community. And it seems like we're getting a lot of positive feedback from the community as far as this is a much needed event space. It's been missing from this area. Oh, thank God you're here. We're so happy. We're inundated with positive feedback from the community. So like I said, we're embracing the ocean and the beauty there. We're not trying to detract from it or take anything away. Our hayfield that we own is beautiful. And I invite these two ladies to come down and see it and call me if they have a concern or a question about what we're doing. My phone number, my email is on my sign. I would be very happy to have a direct conversation with both of them and answer their questions. And I feel like that would have helped us a long time ago because a lot of their worry is very speculative. It's very full of accusations based on their worry and none of it is factual. I will address, if it's okay with you, all of the concerns that they have brought to our attention today. And my goal is to create a relationship with them where we can have a dialogue about these things and they can understand where we stand. They don't know me. I don't blame them. This is their backyard, almost their backyard. It's actually our land. It's not impinging on their land. But they don't know me. They don't know how I run my business or what my plans are other than what they've seen here. So I will say that we have tried to produce dust on that road, and I would argue that how could they prove that we're the dust producers? We have such little traffic on that road except for when there's an event. We've had 4 events. One, it was downpouring rain. There was no dust produced. We've had vehicles come and go because we're under the construction process. So that's an elevated amount of vehicles that we won't normally have. We are still working on getting the floors sealed, getting the trim finished. So there's maybe 2 cars a day that go down that road once. Sometimes we're back and forth because we have to go to Lowe's, but we already intend on buying a sign that says 5 miles per hour so that the people who do come know that they have to drive slow. But like I said, we videoed our attempt to try to produce dust, and it just was non-existent. Our driveway is not dirt, it is rocks. The parking lot right now is rocks, and I'll touch on that as well. So there's very little dirt, and there's such dryness right now, everything is dusty. So I do argue that their dust problems are coming from us. The noise, as was mentioned, the road and the exhaust from the gas station, we've measured at 70 to 100 decibels, and there's actually a rooster that beats everybody. So, you know, our noise is very, it is very once in a while. It's the only way I can describe it. We have had, like I said, 4 events. We don't allow our people to have music outside. The 4th of July was an exception. I've been told that St. George Road is always full of cars parked along the sides of the road on the 4th of July to watch the Thomaston fireworks. And that is what gave us the idea to do something so that those people aren't parked along the side of the road. In fact, they're in our driveway parked. So there was some people coming and going, and that was unavoidable and you know, something we didn't expect. But most people came and they stayed, and then they left when the fireworks were over. I thought it was a very successful event. It was obviously very popular. You know, most people want, and I would have loved to see these 2 ladies down there. They would have had a wonderful time. I'd even give you a drink on me. But you know, the noise, we really are strict about. We have a contract with our guests, and in that contract, there is a strict paragraph about the noise ordinance, and they're fine if they break that in our contract. And so nobody wants to do that. We've talked to all the neighbors, and of course we know a lot. I don't know a lot. My husband, James Hendricks, his parents bought the land in the 50s. And so not only our land, but tons of acres around our land. So we've been in the area, we know the area, we love the land. We don't want to do anything that's going to detract from the beauty of it. We could have subdivided it and put 4 houses. That's how much land we own. We could have done that. We could have put a pig farm down there. We could have put a campground down there, and a campground is not what I'm going for. I do not want a campground. I do not want RVs. I do not want to spoil the beauty of my barn. So, and these 2 ladies are on the other side of my barn where the tent sites will be, so far away from them on the other side of the barn that I doubt they would hear anything. And again, my guests know, I don't care what time they go to bed if they spend the night. So far, no one's needed to spend the night. And it's a very rare thing. However, I want it to be a destination venue so that if they need to, they can. And it's limited. It's only for the people who are getting married, maybe enough room for their bridal party, but not even really. We have one wedding with a bridal party of 27 people. They're not spending the night, but most bridal parties are larger than what I can accommodate. And I'm not allowing them to pitch additional tents than the 2 I would like to set up on a low profile platform so that they have a place to sleep. Anything they're doing as far as activity wise, it's going to be inside the barn. It's not going to be in those tents where they have a much better place to hang out. It will be for sleeping quarters only. I will be providing the mattresses. It will be chock full of mattresses. So there's not going to be room for partying out in the tents. The fact, like I did mention that a lot of the speculation is based on worry, and a lot of the accusations are not factual. The facts are that we have been very committed to our promises, and we intend to continue to be. Our hayfield is not our hayfield. I mean, we own one piece of property. All the other people own their piece of property. It's not a generalized community ownership of these hayfields. People have their own property. They can do whatever they want on their own property. I've grown up knowing that people have every right to do what's within the town's ordinances to do on their property. And unfortunately, St. George Road is zoned for business. And just because they don't want a business to happen doesn't mean that it's not okay to happen. And we have taken all of, everything we have done has been by the book. It has not been CD backhanded with the town. Everything has been upfront. Everything has been, I'm not perfect. I misunderstand things once in a while, as does most human beings. But my intentions have never been to drive anyone out of their home, spoil the community, or ruin the integrity of the beauty of the ocean. I grew up in Bar Harbor. I love the ocean. And if you could come down and just see how we've embraced it, you may change your mind. So, the two tent sites that I'm looking for, they will be only pitched in one location. They will not be movable. They won't be bright blue. They won't be bright orange. They will be the same color as the barn. They're like a khaki color. And the only reason I'm doing this is because my hands are tied as far as allowing people to spend the night in the barn. The fire marshal permitted us for our construction, and then along the way, they realized, oh, there are beds on these plans. Do you want, then they realized that we wanted to have overnight accommodations inside the barn. So they came back, withdrew their permit, and reissued a new one saying that you can't have anyone spend the night inside the barn until you have sprinklers. So in the meantime, I've made promises to some future weddings for overnight accommodations, and I would love to be able to keep my promise. So the glamping sites, the reason they're called glamping is that they're just a little better than a tent. I set it up for you. I make your bed. It's not something that you have to go to LO Bean, pick up a tent and a sleeping bag and bring your lantern. I set it up for you. It's called glamping because it's easy. And that's the only, maybe it is a made up word. I don't know. But in the industry, it seems like wedding barns and venues do offer glamping from time to time. So the reason we want to do that is so that we can keep our promises and allow these overnighters until we get our sprinklers done. Everything was higher in cost than we expected. And that's just the nature of things right now. So, we could build a cabin. But no, I'm not asking for that. I mean, we could use our land to build a cabin for our renters, but we're not asking. We just want a place for them to sleep. They will be mingling and doing whatever, and inside the barn. And even if they're spending the night, they still have to abide by that 10 o'clock noise ordinance. That is in their contract. There is no getting around that. So as far as enforceability, we as the owners are always on site for events, and we will spend the night in our house that we own right at the end of the driveway. So because we go in the next day, even if they don't spend the night, we're still spending the night. Because we have to clean up in the morning, we have to get rid of the trash, which was one of our promises to you guys, that we wouldn't have trash everywhere, and who would want that anyway? So we're trying so hard to do everything to not upset our neighbors. And then they still find things to worry about, things to speculate about and accuse us of when none of it has been factual. And so I think I have responded to all of their concerns.
Questions?
Yes, I do. I know. So now we will have to determine whether the place becomes a campground.
No. So a campground to me means I'm letting people rent a campsite. And really, I'm just having a place for my people who have rented 2 or more
But
days.
they are going to sleep in a tent.
And they will be sleeping in a tent that is sort of set up and kept set up in one location and not moved. And the location is nice. I mean, it's quite hidden. You can't see it from the road because we're so far away. But even better, you can't see it from the neighbors to the left of us, or so I believe where these ladies live. One of them abuts us. So we plan to put it on what we consider the back of the barn.
We cannot. It's up to us.
Can be granted.
Yes, but
That's for when they do this. Performance standards, we have to do that. We have to give
But
them a
that's,
chance.
you know, to me, so it's in a tent, so what do you think, Gabe? Because like if we follow the campground rules, it says each site should be 5,000 square feet, and obviously that platform is not gonna be that big, so.
I think, sorry, if anybody can hear me, how many
Okay.
people are allowed to camp here, Ms. Hendricks?
So the tents, they're 8-person tents. But I don't have that many beds. So I have told my renters in the past that I can accommodate 12.
Okay. That would have
I
to
think
be something.
there's a potential solution here, which is that if it's under 10 people, that's actually not a campground. That's a campsite, which
We gotta have that.
require a planning board permit. And, oh dear,
You have that in the ordinance, Gabe? Hey,
Can you
yeah,
hear us?
yeah, it's just the listing on the table of uses. I can hear you.
have that in front of me as well.
Where is the 10% limit, you know, where is that stated?
It's in the definition of individual private campsite at the end of the land use ordinance.
Yeah, just a quick peek at that.
So I was told that
And
I
there
couldn't
are
allow.
rules that you follow for that. But,
Oh, yeah. Let's
but
find
that
out
would,
where you get.
that would resolve the issue of of people's fear of approving something called a campground on this site, which I tend.
Okay, so campsites, individual private, an area of land which is not associated with a campground, which would be your case, which is developed for repeated camping by only one group, not to exceed 10 individuals, and which involves site improvements which may include but not limited to a gravel pad, parking area, fireplace, or tent platform. So campsite, you know, but that would, you would be limited to 10, not 12.
I can do that.
So then that would be allowed.
Let me just read that real quick. I probably have to read this, but individual private, see, the thing is, I know, ten individuals.
So does it mean, you know, when it says individual private, is that as opposed to commercial?
That's my
We're just
question.
a couple houses past that.
Right, I think the commercial aspect complicates it.
I think we better run this
But I
through.
was just I wanted to raise that because I think, you know, that allows us to say that this is possible without
Anything.
approving something called a campground on this site, which I think people are indicating sets a precedent that they don't want to set.
I'm very happy to not call it campground.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so all the bathroom facilities would be inside the home.
Included, yes, inside. Everything is inside. She literally would just go there to sleep.
And once your sprinkler system is in place, would you keep the fence?
So if we do the sprinkler system, which we are pretty sure we will, we have a year to find people who are available and get quotes. So we're working on that now. And then the glamping sites could stay for fun. I wouldn't think people would use it in place of sleeping inside. But I mean, but I would be willing to set it up for them if they were interested in staying in a glamp site.
This is Henry, the only thing that I'm troubled with this about is it says individual private. And you do run a commercial operation
Okay.
there. So that, I think we would get called out on that
Okay,
for sure. So what I'd rather do is, because if it's just this, then the CEO could approve this.
okay,
But I think through the nature of the area around you, the neighbors and everything, that we probably should run it through a performance standard, hours of operation and noise, and just like we do everything, like the same form that we
Okay.
always do. And I'd also would like to have a brief public hearing on August 18th at 5:30, just after Mr. Wilson's, for anybody from the public that would like to speak. That, in fairness to you, in fairness to the neighbors, I think we need to
If
Cover-
I
cover
may, I mean,
everything.
you invested good money in a beautiful place and you can have a lot of people in there. I think a sprinkler system would be very wise. And in which case, another possibility would be to rent the use, temporarily until you can move the people inside. And then, that would satisfy all the regulations.
Okay, there is, the only thing is, in the uses, that is in our two area, that block,
And then it's R1 as well.
R1 as well.
Yeah.
So camping is an allowed use by
Okay,
the town, with it's by special exemption. It may be a little overkill to do special exemption on this, but I think it's something that we need to review due to the nature of the neighbors
okay.
already. Mrs. Hilton's benefit, this is, do you live down there too? Okay. And Mrs. Carcass,
Okay,
One thing that I think would be helpful ahead of that public hearing is that I found the documentation that you submitted indicating where your campsites were located and things like that fairly unclear in terms of the size of the tent and the location. If you could just give us a little bit more detailed documentation of what you're actually asking for, would be helpful.
in your packet with the dimensions of the tent. And then the dimensions of the platform is 20 by 20 or 20 by 40. But I would be happy to provide more clear if you find that still to be unclear. I'd be happy to
Is
provide.
it to scale roughly, that graph?
In my own personal graphic designer skills, yes.
okay, this is, just to be clear, this is the
Yes,
side of
That would be the
on that side of the building.
yes.
Okay.
So a lot of the noise, giggling, laughter, conversation will be shielded by the barn itself.
And in the original permit, did we say you would have to plant, shrubs or trees?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Yes, and we have planted our trees, although we treated the road with sodium chloride to help with dust because we knew that was a concern early on, and I think it killed a couple of my trees. I don't know if that's why, but a couple of my trees do need to be replaced. And I actually was considering adding some around the tents too for shade. There's very little shade out there.
Yeah.
And that would help.
privacy as well.
And that would help.
While they're here, Mrs. Hilty, do you have any comments about these tents? Other than, did you look, did you do that? Did you answer your questions? That you had a lot of questions about this?
Not
Is
all.
there any other
Then,
concerns?
so would this be a change in hours of operation?
No,
Because before it was 10 PM and now we're opening it up to 365 days a year, 24 hours a day.
Because they're sleeping there. That's the reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
With additional, more people than what was originally planned for in the suites.
So,
Will there be RVs? Is this just
no,
more, is there more to come?
no,
We would be renting outside of
no.
a wedding, so somebody, can somebody come rent it outside of renting the event center for a wedding?
No. No, the tents will be for our couples and their families only. And then we don't just do weddings, we also do family reunions, things like that. Those people don't typically spend the night, so it would be a wedding party. And it's usually just family and friends. So no one is allowed to add additional tents.
Yeah,
No one would
probably
be allowed to rent those tents and not rent the venue.
That's-
Right.
yeah. And that's part of how this process works. The permit that you get is a permit that's very specific in terms of what it allows you to do. And there's a lot of categories of assessment that we apply as a board. And once that's on the books, that is your permit, and that indicates what you're allowed to do and sets the, sets the parameters essentially. So I think we can be, as a board, quite specific about what we are allowing, what we are not allowing in this site in particular. But that'll be subject, obviously, to our review of the performance standards at the next meeting,
Okay,
taking into account comments from the public hearing.
how many people would you like in those?
6 per tent if I'm allowed,
Total of 12.
yes.
Same, pretty much same operating hours as your current permit,
Correct,
same everything else,
correct.
right? And parking, we'll have enough parking and all that. I'll go over that
Yes.
next month with you. Okay, so we'll set a public hearing for this at 5:30 after Mr. Wilson's on the 18th of August. And then we'll,
Okay, I
So
have
if
one question,
sure.
just for clarification. When it's going to public hearing, will we be presenting this as the private piece that you were mentioning with some stricter guidelines, or are
Well,
we going for
I
it?
think the way to address this, since you run a commercial operation there already, that this will have to fall under that.
Okay, so, but it won't be a campground,
Not a campground.
not a campground.
There'd be,
Okay,
performance standards be very specific to your tent size, your location,
The
you know,
number of tents and.
Okay.
any lighting that you have there, or
Okay.
anything you need, that will all be addressed in the performance standards, okay?
Beautiful.
So
Okay.
so there'll be no, if you say 2 tents and that's it,
that's it.
that's it,
Okay,
okay?
beautiful. I
So
love
what
it.
I would tell you, what I tell a lot of people when they come in is anything you need to bring it up while we're doing the initial application, and that way,
Okay,
you don't have to come back here.
okay.
I've got a
Okay.
question.
Are you
Jane,
waiting?
sure, go ahead.
Yeah, would it be possible on the public hearing agenda to have one of the options as a temporary permit for Tina to have this facility until her sprinklers are installed? I mean, naturally, I want the hayfields to stay the way they are, but now that they're here, I really want saltwater fields to succeed. And if you're going to invest a lot of money in sprinklers, to me, it's more successful to have people staying inside and using the rooms inside. So I'm wondering if maybe that could be one of the 2 options of the hearing. Giving up,
You can bring anything that you'd like to bring up, you're certainly welcome to do it.
well,
I would voice that at the public hearing specifically, and we'll take that into advisement as we assess the project.
okay.
If money wasn't an option, they'd be done. But it's above and beyond what we've already spent. It's impossible right now. So I would hate to be limited to that, and then I lose my chance because we can't budget it in, and in that limited
Understand.
amount of time.
But anything that anybody likes to can say in a public hearing, they can say,
Okay,
and we can either consider it for the performance standards or not,
okay.
okay?
Mr. Hendricks on Zoom would like to speak also, Irv, sorry. I'm monitoring the chat here.
Appreciate that.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So just my one comment about the temporary status. So the sprinklers were something that were thrown at us at the very last minute. Whether or not we were giving bad professional advice or the law was read wrong, we didn't know we were going to need sprinklers in order to have people stay overnight until the very end. So it wasn't something that was in our initial plan because we were always told as long as we kept our occupancy to under 300, we would never need sprinkles, but there were some change in the fire marshal laws and statutes. So basically any new structure that has anyone stay over, it's a commercial building, has to have sprinklers. So the reason why we got a 1-year permit with them in order to have sprinklers installed was to keep our permit the same. So if we wanted to have people stay over, we could still do it. But the issue is, it's going to be cost prohibitive to what it costs us to do sprinklers, and if we can do them. So I would be very hesitant to only pursue something temporary, only to come back in a year and start this process over again because we were unable to basically pay for something that might be unattainable. We're still have yet to talk to anyone about the costs of sprinklers. We may even have to, maybe in a situation we've been told, we would have to build a separate building to house upwards to 1,000-gallon tank for sprinklers because it's not supposed to be in your building. All of these are things we haven't found out yet. So again, I would be hesitant to want to agree to anything that was temporary, just because it may, and the result that we can't afford to do sprinklers or something doesn't work out, that we may not be able to do that anyway. So just putting it out there now.
Okay, well, thank you. We can take it all up next month. I hear you. And it doesn't sound unreasonable, but it would be up to the board to determine. And what feedback we get from the public.
Okay.
Okay. But the way the ordinance reads, there's no restrictions on time for these
I have
tasks.
to drop off the meeting.
We
As
don't,
everybody, I
have,
just have to go. I'll talk to everybody again soon. Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Nice.
There is another permit, you have to go, does he have to go?
Because he wants to go. Okay, so as of now, in town of South Thompson, there's no restrictions on campgrounds in your area. Okay,
Okay,
there's no, as far as a time limit, that could be put in as a contingency, but there's nothing in the ordinance. And
Well, if it's a campground, commercial campground, if you're going to use that term, each site has to be 5,000 square feet. Okay, that's in the,
okay,
well, we just have one site.
well, but you have 2 tents, so that qualifies as 2 sites.
Oh,
So,
so that would be, you need 100 by 100 area, which you probably have there. Is what you're
yeah, but
saying,
then,
right?
but that defeats the purpose of keeping the place quiet, because if you have to spread them apart, they are going to spill beyond the limits of the building.
Exactly, I guess I got.
is there a requirement for distance between tents? So if you have two, one.
Yeah, I
kind,
guess.
then you could put your tents,
Yeah, and
On the
say,
inside
okay, I
perimeter.
guess.
That would be my,
right?
makes common sense on that.
Mhm.
All right. So we'll go through your performance standards. If anything, right now, all I have is you want 12 people there.
Okay,
If you need lighting stuff, I'll review all that with you.
okay,
Any other conditions that the board wants to put for the special exemption. And then, like
okay,
the hours of operation, parking and so forth.
okay,
And we will listen to the public. But I'd just like to let them know as well, if any of these projects get approved, their recourse is to go to South Thompson Board of Appeals. They can all be brought there and this board can be overruled. Okay? But what we have to do is we follow the town ordinances, and we don't really have we can't, our personal feelings, one way or the other, can't be, we can't do that. All right. Is there any more questions on saltwater fields? By the board? This time, okay. So that will be also brought at the August meeting. And we have the People's Methodist Church homeschool. Are they here tonight? Nobody came for that. And once again, if there's any other questions on the saltwater fields before I move on? Okay. We need to set the date for our next meeting. I think
Well,
it's
it's gonna be the 18.
gonna be 18. So that'll be that third Thursday, just to be official. And we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second motion. Hey, any questions, concerns? Okay. Kathleen,
Yes.
me, yes,
Yeah.
and me, yes. So 3-0.
Who seconded the motion? Catherine made the motion.
She made a motion, she seconded.
Oh, she-
Okay. I guess as a board, we gotta figure out for a few minutes here, what letters are gonna be for all these places?
What's that?
The letters to their butters. So we can put, we need one, I guess we need one letter for the butters down at 73.
Yeah, they don't.